Sorry. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever premiere episode of the Modcast. This is something that we absolutely intend to do for many, many years to come. I'm fully kidding, but this is purely a proof of concept episode. See if there's an appetite for it, and just see how we vibe with it. You know, we are fairly untrained, fairly inexperienced, but we intend to have a lot of fun with this, and we just intend to bring some positive content. I am joined here for this episode, which is our Revolution, AEW Revolution 2025 predictions and preview episode. This card looks incredible, and I'm really happy to be joined by Crawford.
What's going on, everyone?
And Zack.
Hey there.
And we are going to run down this card. I don't know about you guys, but I am incredibly excited about this card. This show, I mean, I don't want to overhype it too much because, you know, there is some truth to the phrase, you know, well, the axiom that high expectations, you're just leaving yourself set up to be disappointed. But I can't see a world in which this card is not one of the all-time great AEW cards. What do you think, Zach?
I think, first of all, do also want to point out, we're doing an AEW podcast, and you first thing you do, mention a WWE wrestler. Tut, tut, tut.
What did I say?
You said axiom.
Oh, stop off.
But yeah, I think on paper, this has the potential to be maybe their best show ever. Potential. I'm not going to set the expectation right. It has to be that. I think just on a good day, this card, if everyone goes 7 out of 10, it's a top 10 pay-per-view. Even Big Boomy AJ, I'm including in that.
How dare you insinuate that Big Boom AJ is not one of the greatest wrestlers of our generation?
To be fair, he's not the worst wrestler in that match.
God, it's depressing how right you are. Yeah, Crawford, what do you think? I mean, you know, you sort of, I think you sort of approach AEW a bit differently to Zach and I. I'm not insinuating anything here, but what do you think about this? You know, the sort of the build and the sort of overall vibe. I think there's a very different vibe coming into this pay-per-view than what we've seen for a long time coming into AEW pay-per-views.
Yeah, so I think how I view AEW compared to you guys is probably just less is the easiest way to say it. I'm not there for every Dynamite and every Collision, but I do try and watch as much as I can. And this card is just, you know, AEW is known for putting on excellent pay-per-views. It's their thing. Like top to bottom, start to finish, they pack the card. And this, even amongst all of the great pay-per-views they've had, stands out. And I think that says it all. Their history of putting on these shows with, you know, 8+ matches of high level talent that get time to put on performances to make themselves known and increase their star power. This card here, you know, AEW came out of not a dark period, but sort of a downswing at the end of last year, and 2025 has been a tremendous year. And I think this is just kind of put the cherry on top of the climb that they've been on recently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the vibe around this pay-per-view has been just there has always been, I'm not insinuating anything with regards to anyone else, but there's always been sort of the quintessential AEW bad news story coming out around the pay-per-views. But this time it just seems like there is a pure focus on this pay-per-view is going to be excellent. Get excited for it. And I really am very excited for it.
And even in addition to that, some less than savory things coming out about the competition that are normally not the case. It's a lot of PR grandstanding and things like that, and it really has allowed things to be focused on the card here, which is great because it deserves all the attention that it's getting.
The vibes around this show are immaculate. I hate myself for saying that phrase.
Well put. No.
Yeah. But I do just want to point out Revolution each year. I know we have All In as their big, I don't really want to call it mania show because it's a different vibe, but their big kind of major, yeah. But each year Revolution is the show that steals the spotlight. And I think in a history of Revolutions, which have been banger after banger after banger, this Revolution is looking to be the one that is at the top of Everest, planting that flag. I'm not predicting Derby back, by the way. That's not a hint. It was just a high mountain.
No, I think you're absolutely right. You know, if you look at the traditional big four, let's say, because I don't want to rank, you know, Dynasty or World's End. There's only been one or two of those. But if you look at the traditional big four, Revolution, Double or Nothing, All Out, and Full Gear, there have been incredible highs. There have also been sort of lows, really, where you've had shows that have been fine. I'm not going to, apart from All Out 2020, I'm not going to deign to call any of them bad per se. But when you look at Revolution, the consistently superb shows that they have put on year after year at the start of the year, it's a streak that I certainly don't expect to be broken this year, and it's just a testament to the strength of, well, not to glaze him, but Tony Khan as a booker. You know, if the rumors are true that, you know, when the NFL season ends, he becomes more involved, I don't think it's hard to see the effects of that when you look at how brilliant Revolution is once he starts taking charge again.
Kind of makes me nervous for June.
Oh, I know. Just ignore Jacksonville, Tony. You don't want the Jaguars, please.
Listen, there's no saving him anyways.
With anything. But yeah, I do just want to point out that, and I'm saying this because I'm pretty sure me and you have the same opinion here, that when we say an AEW show's been fine, like compared to the shows other companies put on, an AEW show is an amazing show 9 out of 10 times. The fine ones are just good rather than
I mean, even the shows. Yeah, absolutely. Even the shows that I would consider to be fine, like I would consider Full Gear 2023, for example, to be a fine show. Some people don't like the main. Some people think that the card is inconsistent. Fair points. But even that show, which is a step below the best AEW shows, you still have Swerve and Hangman in the Texas Death Match on that card. So even if you have a below par for AEW card, you're still almost guaranteed to have something on there that is going to blow your mind. And this card has, gosh, I don't even want to say how many matches that could fulfill that criteria. So let us waste no more time and let's get into this card. We're going to start off on the 0 hour here. So we have got, to kick us off, we've got Big Boom AJ and friends. That's Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe versus MXM Collection and Johnny TV. Now, Crawford, you are an avowed Big Boom AJ defender just like me. What do you think about this?
You know, I am actually really excited for this. I do love Big Boom AJ. I think he's an inspiration for, you know, people all over the country, that you can truly get famous doing literally anything as long as you're, you know, passionate about it and have a, you know, pretty adorable son that can go with you and you know, make you seem like super dad. So love Big Boom AJ. Love the double chocolate chunk cookie from Costco. Love Orange Cassidy. Love Mark Briscoe. And let's see, Mason and Madden. I haven't admittedly been as much into their stuff. I haven't seeked out watching any of their, the clips and things that they've self-produced or anything like that. But I do think that they're very talented. And, Johnny, last name, he's been a great performer for forever. So I think they're going to have fun and put on probably a pretty short but family-friendly match. Obviously, I think Mark and OC and Big Boom get it done. I hope we see the Rizzler. That's really what I'm hoping for. If we see the Rizzler, then everything was worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was going to say, like, you're talking about, the appeal of sort of Big Boom AJ and his son and that sort of thing. Not to mention their unrelated family friend who got, I don't want to say the biggest pop of the night at Full
No, he
Gear,
may be
but
the
it
most
wasn't.
over of them.
He wasn't far off. Zach, I mean, this match, I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion because I love MXM and Johnny TV, but this is pretty much a foregone conclusion, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I just want to point out Mason Madden. I've loved him since the days of Super Best Friends Play when people only ever knew him as Other Wooly, when he'd pop up on their shit every so often. I love him. He's an amazing person. He deserves a spotlight in everything he does. But tomorrow night, or tonight, or whenever these people listen to First This goes out, he's going to be on the losing side. And it's not their fault. He's just against Big Boom AJ, who is the greatest wrestler alive. Fuck Max Caster. And look, it's not his fault that he's with Johnny TV, who I can't stand.
Oh, I think it's also important for us to note that we are recording this before Collision. So if anything happens to get splashed on in a, I know things are out there as to what happened on Collision. Spoilers are out there, but any backstage segments that set anything up, we have not seen those yet.
Yes, absolutely. We're recording this approximately 4 hours before Collision airs on Saturday. I know it's been taped. I know there are spoilers out there. I haven't seen them.
Wait, has our clocks changed today or tomorrow?
I believe
no, brother. Whenever the phone tells me.
Our clocks don't change until the 30th, I believe. We have a couple of weeks where they're only 4 hours behind us.
Yeah,
but just carry on. Sorry.
Rev's at midnight for us tomorrow.
Yes, very true. Yes. I must remember that. But just to go back to Big Boom AJ for a second, what has been an absolute inspiration to see, and if I'm AEW, I'm kissing the boots of this man. He is an absolute promotional machine. He's courtside at the Lakers game doing the booms in front of, I don't know how many people they can pack into the Staples Center, but, loads of people are there watching him promote AEW Revolution. And he is on TikTok all of the time promoting this show and saying, come and see me, watch on whatever. He's fantastic. Whatever they're paying him for this, it is not enough because that man works his absolute arse off to promote this show. And I just want to give him his flowers for that. He's been phenomenal, and I'm really looking forward to this match, despite myself.
Yeah, I think AJ deserves all the plaudits he gets. Man's created a future for his kids. They're set for life just off of chocolate chunk cookies.
And whatever else it is, chicken bakes, I want to say. But your chicken bakes are very different to me. Your chicken bakes are very different to our chicken bakes. I've tried the Costco chicken bake, not a fan. But yeah, as Crawford mentioned, we don't know exactly if anything else is going to be added to the 0 hour, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that there has been a lot of speculation as to whether or not there will be a Max Caster Open challenge on the 0 hour. I think Max sort of has fueled that himself on Twitter. So we'll just briefly talk about it. If it does go ahead as everyone has been speculating, who do you think is answering that call? I'm not even going to ask you if you think they're going to win, because what the hell is the point? But who is walking through that curtain if Max Caster decides to grace us with his presence tomorrow night?
So, I hope you don't mind me jumping in first here.
No,
No,
please.
this is kind of took my initial wild prediction out, so
Oh.
I've got to think of something else for this. It's if there's an open challenge, it's either Speedball or Josh Alexander.
Yeah. I think I'm with you there. In the sense of if they do have this on the pay-per-view, and I think it fully deserves to be on the pay-per-view, by the way. I'm an avowed defender of Max Caster in the year of our Lord 2025, which is something I did not expect to happen. But he has been absolutely killing it on TV every week. This sort of heel, smarmy little bastard, coward, shit heel character. It's been a revelation, and if he gets on the pay-per-view, and like I say, he deserves to, I think they're not going to have him on there without it being some noteworthy angle or debut. So I'm thinking it will probably be Josh Alexander, I think is my prediction on that one.
Because I'm being wishy-washy, I'm going to set it as Speedball for a reason that we'll cover later.
Okay, what do you think, David? Crawford, sorry, what do you think?
Yeah,
I've ruined that. It's because I have you on.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I've been doxxed. We'll deal with this later.
Congratulations,
You'll be hearing from my lawyers.
Oh God.
That's right, Mark Sterling.
I thought you were going to say Cornette's guy then.
No, I lost my train of thought now.
No, I was just talking about
goodness.
Max Caster.
So Max Caster Open Challenge. I also had a hot take for this, which we'll save for later.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be either Alexander or Bailey. If I'm putting it on one or the other, I would say Josh Alexander, just because of the issues that we've heard about Mike Bailey and his visa that could be something going on. So I'm going to say Josh Alexander. A wild card, just to have a different option from the other two of you, would be Hologram. I think Hologram should have a match on every AEW show.
Oh, that would be very fun.
And he's recently returned, and it'd just be a good opportunity for him to spend 10 minutes kicking Max Caster's ass all over the place in lucha greatness.
Yeah, I mean, I could also see a world where they have someone, because the reason I went with Josh Alexander and not Speedball is because I think Josh Alexander works better as a sort of powerhouse that you can just destroy Max Caster with on pay-per-view. Along that sort of vein, I could see a world where they do someone like Beast Mortos as a challenger, where you can just have him show up and absolutely eat him for lunch and walk away. I think that could be really fun, but I'm sticking with Josh Alexander on that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, barring any last minute, I mean, if they have announced some matches while we're recording, I'm not going to add them. Sorry, Tony. Should have been a bit quicker on the draw on that one.
He's listening to this.
Exactly. We know you're there, Tony. Just reveal yourself and give me free tickets. But regardless, we'll get onto the main card now, and I want to start things off here with what I expect to be one of the matches of the night, and therefore probably one of the matches of the year. It's Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher, the third in their trilogy, starting at Full Gear, this time in a steel cage. Now, I don't know about you. My love for both of these men is well documented, very well documented at this point. But this match, oh my goodness. This is one of those where I am genuinely caught in two minds. I think this one can really go either way. So I'm curious as to your thoughts. We'll start with Crawford on this one. What do you think could happen in this one? There are so many possibilities with this, I think.
Well, I think we're going to see a good match first and foremost. This may be shocking to some, but I think these two are going to give us something to remember here. I think the steel cage element of it really adds a lot of possibilities for what these two can do and the boundaries that they're willing to push, especially against each other. They're basically brothers at this point, and I think the level of trust that they have with each other within the ring is going to create something really special, and using that cage to the most of its potential. But as far as who's going to win, it's really a toss-up, because you can go you can make legitimate cases for both sides to
definitely.
deserve the win and the direction that a win would take them in. I don't think that there's going to be another match between them two after this for a while. So I expect this to kind of be a period to this feud. If I had to pick, I'm going to say I think it's going to be Ospreay. I think Fletcher's time will come, but I think Ospreay is going to get this one done. And I think it's going to take him going beyond the limits of what he wants to do to get it done.
Yeah, like I said, this is a toss-up in my mind as well, but I think I'm with you on that one. I've also gone for Will Ospreay, but I can totally see a world where Will says, no, I'm going to put this guy over. You know, in our final match in our trilogy, I'm going to make this man a megastar from a proto-star. But I've gone for Will because I think Fletcher, they've built him up massively so that he can lose this match and not lose anything coming out of it. Whereas with Will, I think it is now time for him to sort of be the main eventer once again. You know, be the guy that you can put into the main event for the world title. And I think a win here would springboard him onto that platform once again. What do you think, Zach?
So, my thoughts are basically Ospreay's going to win. And reasons why is because I think when Ospreay does eventually put Fletcher over again, he wants it to be for something. And I think it's a feud that will be revisited when Ospreay has the title. And Ospreay will put him over with the title. I think that's where we'll eventually go. I think Ospreay will win here. It's going to be tight. It's going to be millimeters. That's how close it will be. But eventually Ospreay will finally pull it out the bag and get the win. Will there be shenanigans? Probably. It's the Callis family. There's always shenanigans.
That damn Don Callis, that son of a bitch.
The cage isn't going to stop them, and it's not going to stop a debuting Josh Alexander under the Callis family. Which is why I didn't put Steve Paul.
Something involving Mark Davis and Josh Alexander.
Yeah, possibly. I think Mark Davis is going to have a moment where he wrestles with his conscience, and will he stay with Fletcher and Callis, or will he side with Ospreay? It's going to have that whole oopsie daisy, what we're doing sort of deal. But I think ultimately it's going to come down just to the two in the ring, and then afterwards the beatdown from Alexander debuting.
I think that's a really interesting possibility there, because I've seen it that some people are thinking, oh, well, maybe Josh Alexander will be part of the Don Callis family. I think it's a really interesting idea to do it here, but also I think it's really interesting that you're having Josh Alexander debut here, but also having Will Ospreay win. I'm intrigued about that.
I think the reasons I'm putting that as my thought process is because it sets Alexander up as a threat of a level above Fletcher because of his experience. If he's having to be brought in because Callis's main guy can't get the job done, and it immediately puts Alexander at the top end of the card, not necessarily main eventer, but at the very typical close to it.
I think that's really interesting. I didn't really think about it like that, but yeah, that would definitely signify that Josh Alexander is this sort of credible badass that people who know what he's like know that he is. But if you're going to present him as such, I think that's a very interesting way to do it. But we've all gone with Will Ospreay there, which is interesting. I expected us to be split on that, but we've all sort of had very similar rationales. which is really interesting. I don't think, however, not to put my sort of thumb on the scale here, but I don't think we will have too much dissent on the next match on the card, which is Kazuchika Okada defending the AEW Continental Championship against Mr. Brody King. Now, thank you. But I don't think I'll go ahead and say my prediction right off the bat. I don't think there's a world in which Okada is dropping that belt to Brody King. I think the match will be great, but I don't think that belt is getting anywhere near anyone until at least All In. What do you think?
Wouldn't
Zach?
it just be such a pivot?
Oh,
Wouldn't
that
it?
is
Wouldn't it
one
be
of those
so
words that is
interesting? Like,
that is one of those words that's absolutely gone through me in the past couple of weeks. Good
yeah,
grief.
sorry, trigger word. Apologies. Wouldn't that be an interesting change from what we expect?
Use your words. Well done.
uh,
It would be an interesting sort of, I'll use the word, pivot,
oh.
in the sense of I would have absolutely no idea what the fuck is going on anymore. But in terms of I just don't think it makes sense for Kazuchika Okada to drop the belt right now. I
Yeah,
think
no, I completely agree. I don't
he's been
think
having
I think it's gonna be a good match.
Hmm.
I don't expect it to get the most like time either. I think they're kind of just gonna get in there and beat the shit out of each other, and then Okada's gonna do Okada things.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at this card and I was thinking because there are at least sort of 7-8 matches where I'm thinking I don't see that going under like 15-20 minutes. So I was thinking, where are you going to have the time to just have a short match and sort of level out the card a bit? And I think, yeah, you have this match here. There might be another match that we might talk about later that might have that sort of attachment to it. But I think this is one where it definitely could go short and very hard hitting. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, everyone's right. Okada's gonna win, but as Brody, as much as I love him, is gonna give a 10-minute match. They're gonna beat the shit out of each other. Okada's chest is gonna bleed from the chops. Brody's gonna bark louder and more often than a dog that's just had a female in heat walk past it. Like, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. But it's going to be 10 minutes, and it's going to be keep your hype up. There's more coming sort of match in the middle of the card.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair analysis of it. Yeah, I don't know on this one though, because like I said, I don't think Okada is losing, but I don't know if it's going to be clean necessarily, and I could see a world, for example, not to potentially snipe anyone's hot takes. I could see a world where this is maybe where we see the return of the Bucks, and potentially that could set up maybe a program between the Bucks and the Hounds of Hell. I'm just spitballing here, but I think there is a world where that is a possibility.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think the Hounds of Hell are at an interesting spot right now. With Julia just took the loss to Queen Aminata in a really good match. Aminata looked incredible. Buddy with dealing with the injury and honeymoon and everything that he had going on, and Brody takes a loss here. Kind of leaves you to ask what's next for them after they were just came back after Malachi left and had a kind of some clarity in their direction. Where do you see it going for them?
I mean, I don't think it's. I think I could see a world where you have a Bucks and Hounds of Hell program where the Bucks sort of have a relatively short program, maybe 1-2 pay-per-view cycles, where the Bucks put over the Hounds of Hell and you run the Hounds versus the Syndicate at maybe in Texas. I don't know, but I think that the trajectory of the tag belts is one that will cross paths with Brody and Buddy sooner rather than later. I don't know whether they win that match, but I think there should be a concerted effort to present them as a very credible threat. I mean, you don't have to do much work. I mean, look at them, but there should definitely be an effort to present them as title contenders going forward, and I think that could be a really interesting program.
Yeah,
We
I like the Bucks. I know a lot of people have their issues with them. Whether they're deserved or not depends on why they have their issues and who you talk to. Like, if they're coming back, they can't come back into a feud they're going to lose. I don't think Hounds right now, with them already losing quite a bit, they need to build up some strength and credibility. I don't think they can really lose to the Bucks. I'd have the Bucks turn up if they are turning up. Have them turn up late in the show. Just right now,
yeah,
set up.
okay.
Do a card of Brody and set up something else with him on Dynamite with someone else, or set up Hound with someone else for now. But I don't think you put them into a program with a re-debuting Bucks in a program that they're destined to lose.
See, I wanna quickly say, because we should probably move on lest we keep everyone's time going for about 4 hours. But I don't think they necessarily have to lose to the Bucks if that is the direction you go. I think the Bucks have the cachet with the fans that you can beat them sometimes, and they had the belts for the better part of a year, and they lost and went away. I don't think there's any real danger in them losing credibility with the audience if they lose. They're the Young Bucks.
It's not losing credibility, it's just losing their first feud back, I think. I don't really like people losing their first feud back when they come back from a long time away. I like someone to establish themselves. So they can lose the next feud, and all the feuds after that, just first feud back, personally just like them to win.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyway, let us continue on with this card. Now, this is a match that I am so looking forward to. Oh my goodness, I'm waiting with absolutely bated breath for this one. It is Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Hangman Adam Page. Now, I just want to highlight the feud, the story that has been going on between these two men for the past few weeks has been absolutely electric. I could wax lyrical for ages on this, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Crawford, what do you think? How do you think this match is going to go? What do you think of the story that they've been telling between these two men? Please, by all means, give us your thoughts.
I think these are two of the best wrestlers, like overall talents on earth right now. I think they both can do everything, and this feud and the way that it's been built has just showcased all of their abilities. I mean, you got Max kind of locking back in, getting away from being, the edgelord guy that he kind of tends to fall into when the story may not be as inspired. But when you get two guys who are this good at everything, it has nothing but potential to steal the show. And I think this is going to be probably the match of the night, even more so than Fletcher and Ospreay. I think that these two guys are going to show out. Like I'm expecting like a 30-minute knockdown, drag out, everyone's bleeding war. And I think that MJF is going to win. I think it's a similar point to what Zach or to what Adam you just said about the Bucks having cachet to be able to lose and not be seen as falling down the card. I think Hangman's the same way. And I think a big win here for Max can set him up to get back into the world title picture, especially depending on what happens in our main event. There's a lot of directions that it could go there, if the belt does change hands. And I think Max could slide right back into the world title feud at any moment, and this will put him in position to do just that.
That's a really interesting point. Now, I want to get your thoughts out, but I'm not quite sure that I agree that it's going to be this 30-minute long drawn-out war, simply because I don't necessarily think this is the one and done match. I think this is a feud that has the legs to continue, maybe until sort of Double or Nothing. You could do a trilogy here. Not every feud has to be a trilogy, but they have hit absolute pay dirt on this feud, and I think if that is the direction they want to go, they have more than enough content to drive that. So what do you think, Zach? Do you think that do you think MJF gets the win here, or do you?
I'm going to be slight. Sorry, I interrupted you. That's my fault.
No, by no means.
I'm going to be slightly controversial. This is definitely not a one and done. This will continue, and it will end at a Texas Death at All In. Sorry, Y'all In.
Ooh,
This is going to be a time limit draw.
That's interesting.
a time limit draw.
Time limit draw.
These two are going to
Wow.
push themselves to the absolute limit. They're going to match each other's energy 100%, and neither is going to be able to get the win over the other. Time limit draw. Least
That's
Texas Death at All In, Y'all In, where
That's
it's
so interesting.
KO win.
That's so interesting. Because bear in mind, I was thinking All In as well. I thought that seems like a perfect feud to bring to the big show. But that is 4 months. I don't doubt that they could make it interesting for 4 months, but that is a long time to do a feud like this, especially when they've given us so much already to sort of feast on in this feud. I'm intrigued by that. I really am. Because
Sorry, I keep interrupting you. What were you?
No, you're fine. Honestly, you're fine.
So part of my thought process is that they're going to want to have a Texas Death at Y'all In. There's no bigger feud that they can do for Hangman at this moment than MJF. They're not going to do a Texas Death off a 1 minute or off a 1 month feud, a 2 month feud. They're going to want a heavy, hard hitting, bloody feud to get to that point. And unless they revisit Swerve, which is way too soon to do that, there's no one else Hangman can have it with at this point. It has to be with MJF. And I'm fully convinced they can keep this energy going until whatever month Y'all In is at. I said it's 4 months.
It's July, yeah.
July, yeah.
But that's really interesting because I agree with Crawford on this one. I've gone MJF simply because I think you can do MJF cheats to win here, as is MJF tradition. The heat from the crowd, etc., etc., and you can build on that to the stipulation match that I have no doubt that this will go to. I don't necessarily think it will be at All In, but I think that the story they are telling, it behooves them to have MJF win to stretch it out. I think if you have Hangman win here, then it is probably a one and done, because I think it's a harder story to tell with Hangman, the baby face that isn't a baby face, going over first. I think that they could do it, but I think the story makes more sense if MJF goes over.
Yeah, I think Hangman needs to find his place as a face again. I think he needs to find his soul again. Putting him against the biggest heel in the company for a number of months is going to do that. I'll be honest, I was looking and thinking MJF cheats to win as potential outcome, but to be honest, if I'd go Brave, do time limit draw. Everyone else is going to be like, MJF cheats. That is what MJF does, but I think time limit draw, everyone push the limits. Nice little bit there.
I think it's a very bold prediction.
Yeah, I'm guaranteed to be wrong, but
it'll be very interesting to watch. Anyway, let's waste no more time carrying on through this card. Now to one that I don't necessarily think the outcome is in question. And this is the other one that I brought up earlier that might, I believe, go a bit shorter than the rest of this card, which is the Hurt Syndicate defending their AEW Tag Team Championships against the Outrunners. Now, I was really surprised when the Outrunners got the victory on Dynamite this week or last week. I can't remember. I think it was last week. I was shocked, quite frankly, because I just believed, okay, they're going to do the Murder Machines now. And I think that is probably still the direction maybe for Dynasty. So I've gone for the Hurt Syndicate here. I'm curious as to your thoughts, Zach, as to whether you agree with me there and whether you think this might go a bit short. I think this has the potential to be the weakest match on the card, if I'm completely honest. Not that I think it'll be a bad match, but I think looking at the rest of this card.
Yeah, it'll be a 10-minute match at most. Hurt Syndicate are going to win. They're incredibly over. Look, I like the Outrunners. They're a fun tag team. They're not champs. They don't have that special something a champion needs. Them winning would be a mistake. I feel like that's harsh, but
no,
yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you there. I wonder what you think, Crawford. Can you see a world in which the Outrunners win this?
No, quite frankly, I cannot. I think that this is going to be an ass kicking. I don't even think that the Outrunners are going to get, a traditional hope spot or anything like that. I think this is just going to be, I think this is going to be a squash. I think this is going to be an absolute beatdown. My only question when it comes to the Hurt Syndicate is their alignment. Are they faces? Are they heels? Are they, trying to be somewhere in between? You look at a team like the Outrunners and their faces, they're over, they're goofy, and, it works. Like Zach said, I don't think they're champions. I think they're a good team for matches like this where they may luck into a number one contendership and, go out there and take their licks. But if they do go towards Cage and Archer, that would mean to me that they're going to be more playing that face role. So it'd be interesting to see how they balance that in this match, whether it's a squash or a short match. But either way, I think 100% lock of the night, the Hurt Syndicate's taking this one home.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. And I'd be interested. I think this is one of those where I just think both teams are going to be cheered. The Outrunners because they're goofy and they're over and whatever, and the Hurt Syndicate because they're just so fucking cool. You know what I mean? But we shall carry on swiftly to a match that I'm surprisingly really hyped about. Although I say surprisingly, looking at the people in this match, it's not a surprise at all because we are discussing Mercedes Moné, our CEO, defending the TBS Championship against Stardom's Momo Watanabe. Now, I don't know if either of you have seen their New Japan Strong match. I believe it was sort of summer last year in Washington. It is incredible. The energy that they bring to that match is brilliant, and I expect nothing less here. So, what do you think about this, Crawford? I mean, I'll put my stamp on this and say that I don't think Momo's winning. I think Mercedes is winning. But are you excited? Are you as excited for this match as I am?
So, yes, but only because of the excitement of others. I'm not familiar with Momo Watanabe. I'm admittedly less than a novice when it comes to Joshi wrestling. But I trust the things that I hear from people who I know good wrestling, and everything that I've heard is going to be great. I think Mercedes is fantastic. I think the work that she's done has been unique within AEW and all really good. Her being by herself has been great. I think it's been better than when she was paired with Camille. And I think this is only I think this is a good opportunity for her to be able to showcase just like another really good wrestling match like she's capable of. and I'm excited to learn more about Momo Watanabe through this. But I do think Mercedes is going to win. I don't think that belt's going anywhere.
No, I agree with you, and I don't deign to speak for Zach, but I think we're on the same page here about Mercedes, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit nitpicky here. My one issue with the card is there's a few matches which seem like foregone conclusions. So, and this is one of them. So it's an incredibly nitpicky thing to mention. Like, I love Mercedes. I love the work she's doing. I'm hyped for every match she has. I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of Sasha Banks, but Mercedes, I'm enjoying a lot more. I think it's going to be a fantastic match. It's two people with incredible chemistry together. It's going to be like 15 minutes, and it's going to be fun. I just sadly think, with the wrestling community as it is, it's going to be a match that doesn't get enough credit as it should. As we all know
Yeah, I
how
see what you
Discourse
mean.
gets. And I think a lot of that will probably be down to Momo only really turning up, what was it, 2 weeks ago? And then the discourse around that segment wasn't about Momo turning up. It was about what I think we're going to see the first proper glimpse of something being set up of. And that's the Athena All-In match.
Yeah, I think that the appearance of Billy Starks on Dynamite alongside this match has got everyone sort of racing, thinking about Athena and Mercedes potentially in Texas. So,
Took a little bit
yeah,
of the spotlight away from a match that should have got as much as it could get to give it the biggest chance.
yeah, I understand where you're coming from there. I mean, what do you think, Crawford?
Yeah, I think if you were going to nitpick one thing about this card, to your point earlier, Zach, it is about the foregone conclusions that are this match, and I think the Hurt Syndicate and Outrunners tag match. But when it comes to the build of the feud, yeah, it was pretty short, but I think it was effective. And like you said, if this is leading to Athena and Mercedes, I'm all in, brother. We will be there seated, because that is a match that I think everyone would like to see, and a great spotlight for Athena to finally ascend onto the AEW roster proper, and cement herself, as the woman who should be on TV every week that she is.
Absolutely, absolutely. But moving on to a match that I'm intrigued to get your thoughts on the stipulation for this match. I think the story has been excellent. It's Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet in a number one contenders match for the AEW World Championship. Now, I don't think anyone would dispute that this story has been excellent. It has lit a fire under Ricochet that we haven't seen probably since his maybe his New Japan days. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on the number one contendership aspect of this, and obviously who you think is going to win based on that. Well, I'll ask you, Zach. How do you think this is going to go based on how they've set this up?
Right, so I'm a big fan of Swerve. He's my current GOAT. He's amazing. Um, I love every single aspect about him, and he can afford to lose this to a Ricochet accompanied by Samantha Irvin.
Wow, the swerve,
Oh,
pun intended.
Yeah. Ricochet, I think the hard work he's put in, the reimagination of himself, but he's reinvigorated. This is a Ricochet that people are looking at and saying, this guy can cut a promo. Never in the past 5 years has anyone looked at Ricochet and said, I think this guy could do a promo. Never. And yet he's doing the best work of his career on the mic and some of the best work of his career in the ring. He deserves to go over here. And I think Swerve is the type of top guy who will see Ricochet, see the work he puts in, and say, you know what, you're going over. And it's going to establish Ricochet. It's going to get Ricochet a title shot against whoever that is. He's not going to win the title in the long term, but Ricochet, he deserves the spotlight at this point.
That's so interesting because I'll be fully upfront to say I've got Swerve for this one. I think that, not to discount the incredible work that Ricochet's been doing, but I could see, and this ties into what we might think about the world title match later on. I could just see an easier path for Swerve Strickland to enter that world title scene as it is presently constituted, and as I think it will be constituted coming out of this pay-per-view. But I'm intrigued as to what you think, Crawford, about that, and what do you think about this stipulation as a whole? I think it's added a lot of intrigue to a match where I think prior to this, I don't think anyone would have expected sort of Ricochet. Well, maybe they might have, but I certainly wouldn't have expected Ricochet to have a hope in hell. But with the number one contendership, it's added an extra spice to that I think is really interesting. I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it kind of eliminates the expected booking having with Ricochet having won the first time that they matched up and getting the pin in the tag match as well. I think you can't play the booking math the same way with the stipulation on top. And I think that the winner of this match is going to say a lot about the direction that they're going in when it comes to All In. And what I mean by that is, if Swerve wins and he's the number one contender, I think you would have a harder time getting around to something like, or you would have an easier time being able to set up something like Swerve and Hangman at All In, which I think is one way that they could go. In Texas Deathmatch 2.0 or something, as was alluded to earlier. I would like to see them wrestle again, so that's selfishly what I'm hoping for. But if Ricochet wins, then you have a heel number one contender, and I think that would inform a lot of what they might do with the World Championship going forward. Even as soon as the main event of the show. But I think Swerve is going to win this one. I don't think that Ricochet is going to go up 2-0 on him in singles matches. If they do have Ricochet go over, I think that would catapult him to the main event status that he, not just because of the number one contendership, but would catapult his character into the main event status that he's built towards so quickly with this character. It's the best work of his career. It's been a revelation.
I completely agree with you, and like I say, I've gotten Swerve. I'm very intrigued as to what they do with this. But moving on to a match, I'll put this out there. I think this should main event. I think It's been a phenomenal story. By far the greatest women's story they've ever told in AEW. It's timeless Toni Storm defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Mariah May. The third match, a Hollywood ending, Falls Count Anywhere. What a story, Zach. We cannot say good enough about it, can we?
Yeah, I think just to build on what you've said, it's not just the greatest women's feud AEW's ever done. I think it's genuinely one of the best feuds AEW's done, and one of the best feuds in wrestling, period, of the last easily 10 years. This has been an elevational feud for these two women. They deserve every ounce of it, every bit of plaudits they've received for it. And I'm really struggling to think of who I think will win this. It's a one card match of this card I am completely unsure about. I think I'm at 51% Mariah, 49 Tony.
Oh, we're going Mariah.
Yeah, I think that's just
Wow.
like tiny twinge in my gut says Mariah has that little bit more of a vicious killer instinct. It's going to be a
That's
bloody match. It's going to be a ferocious match. It's going to leave both women scarred for their life. It's going to leave us scarred mentally for our lives.
that's so interesting because I didn't expect either of you two to pick Mariah, despite the fact I have also gone for Mariah May with this one. I
Yeah.
think
Wow.
I think Tony is doing the well. It goes without saying that she's doing the best work of her career. I think she's doing the best work that I've seen in the best character work I've seen in wrestling for a long, long time. But I think equally she is a four-time AEW Women's World Champion. She is firmly placed at the top of the division. I think this is an opportunity. I won't be mad if Toni Storm retains because I think that, like I say, she's phenomenal, and I think that there are things that you could still do with her as champion. But I think this is a wonderful opportunity to have Mariah May just beat the absolute piss out of her and cement herself as that main event women's world title holder.
Yeah.
And I judge by your reaction that you disagree with both of us, Crawford.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I expected everyone to go for Tony here. I I think that this is I think the case can be easily made for this being the greatest women's feud since, I'll say since I started watching wrestling, so say like early 2000s, this is the best women's feud I've seen in my life. It's been a joy to watch. Toni Storm has transcended wrestling itself, I think, with
Yeah.
her work. Like she went from being an afterthought to, I could, probably say the best overall women's talent in the world. The combination of acting, in-ring ability, the playing multiple characters, the creativity that's gone into it all, and her ability to pull it off. I mean, these speeches that she gives, like the one from, I don't know if it was supposed to be the hospital bed or her bed, with when she ripped the neck brace off, and just the stone face that she carries. Every word is believable, though, even though the character itself is so delusional. I don't know how else to say it, like how else to word it, but the character has lost her mind and she just pulls it off completely. I think she's going to win because I think she still has some things. I still think there are opportunities for her with other people within the division to be able to have really good feuds, and I really want to see that. I think Mariah's still got plenty of time to get back into the scene, but her character has a little more wiggle room because of Tony's dedication to acting as timeless Toni Storm. And I think there are more stories to tell with her that can allow her to explore the creativity of that character even more.
So,
Carry on.
the reason I'm edging more Mariah is because I said there's a lot that Tony can still do as champ, but as Adam alluded to, Mariah winning establishes her as the woman to be. It establishes her as the division's biggest heel without a doubt. And what we've seen is Tony lost her mind. Now Mariah's losing hers. And she's losing it in a different way. She is becoming more vicious than she already was. When it comes to a stipulation match, a hardcore match, a bloody match, you want someone vicious. You want someone with that edge. I think Mariah does have that edge. I say it's
I think
tough to
that's
call,
what's
but
swaying me as well. That's what's
yeah,
swaying me as well is the stipulation. I think Mariah being the one that is more delusional, more psychotic, being willing to go to that 11th, just turn it up to 11 and kill Tony Storm and cement herself.
Tony's
It's
better
really-
at the mind games. Mariah's better at the physical brutality.
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent way to put it. But we will move on to my most hyped match of the night. And bear in mind, this is a card that we have discussed has incredible matches, but this is the one I'm looking forward to most. It is Konosuke Takeshita defending the AEW International Championship against the cleaner, the best bout machine, Kenny Omega. And oh my god, I am so excited for this match. Kenny is on a run cementing himself as the greatest of all time. Konosuke Takeshita is doing absolutely phenomenal work, as we always knew that he could, on top. And this match has all the makings of a match of the forever contender for me. So I'll go to you first, Zach. Who have you got, and what do you think?
So this is a match I think's got a foregone conclusion. I think that's Kenny winning. Reasons I think that is because we know Takeshita's got his New Japan deal, and New Japan really kind of need his help at the minute at the top of the card. So I think what we're going to see is Kenny win and Takeshita go to Nuge for a little bit. Match is going to be phenomenal. That goes without saying. I think saying it's going to be phenomenal is understating it, to be honest. It's going to be crazy. Kenny and Takeshita will tear the walls down. If there's any walls still standing after the rest of the card and what the others do. Like, if there's any clean pants in the house after the rest of the card, they're not going to be after this. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. These two people, like, they're the best in the world at what they do. Like, it goes without saying. Like, 4 of the top 5 wrestlers in the world are on this card. Like, in ring. Like, it's maybe actually 5 of 5, I'd say, with Swerve.
Brian Pillman Jr.'s return to AEW. Wait a minute, and nobody told me.
Yeah,
I think you're omitting one American Dragon off that list personally, but I can see the argument.
I'm counting him as retired until he gets back in the ring. But man is letting his neck heal. He's not a wrestler at the minute. Yeah, like we all know it's going to be a ridiculous match. Yeah, like I don't think anything else needs saying.
No. What do you think, Crawford? Who have you got first of all? And oh boy.
Well, first of all, I mean, what a time to be alive to be able to see this match again.
Tell me about it.
Just anything you could ever ask for in a wrestling match, both of these guys can give you. With that being said, I think Kenny's going to win. I think this is the beginning of heading towards Omega Okada at All In. I think this is kind of what gets us, obviously started on that path towards potential title unification. That I know there's been a lot of speculation, some people hoping for it, some people wishing against it. But I think Kenny wins here. I think Takeshita's had a great run with the belt. I think him going to New Japan is an interesting thing. I don't typically watch New Japan, but I do seek out individual matches from it. And I would seek out any Takeshita match. But yeah, no, this match is going to be incredible. You guys said it all. But I agree. I think Kenny brings this one home.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I don't necessarily think it's a foregone conclusion, because I can see like maybe a 1% chance. Well, we'll go 5% chance that Takeshita retains here and you do another match. I think at some point you are getting Kenny Omega. You are putting the belt on Kenny, because I think, like you said, Crawford, we're building towards that Omega Okada 5 match at All In, and I think it probably will be for a unification. But like I say, I don't think it's necessarily 100% nailed on. But I am going for the GOAT, Kenny Omega, to take the belt off Konosuke Takeshita here. And I could definitely see possibly that would free up Takeshita to go and maybe win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, possibly. I don't know. But for now, yeah, I'm going with Omega. And that leads us nicely onto what we widely expect. I think it has been announced as the main event, which is Jon Moxley defending against, I have to call him Cope, Adam Copeland, the AEW World
Say his
Championship.
full name. The Rated R Superstar.
Rated R Superstar, Adam Copeland. Fuck you.
Adam Edge Copeland.
Thank you. But when it was announced and when it was clear that this was the direction they were going in, I thought, right, okay, it'll be a fun match. You know, I'm not as down on the Death Rider story as everyone else. I didn't think there was a hope in hell for Adam Copeland to win this match. As it's gone on, I've enjoyed the story, which I wasn't necessarily expecting to. I think it's been very well told. The best told Death Rider story since, Danielson left.
Couldn't agree more.
But I don't know which way I'm going on this. Even now, I think I have to just sort of go with my gut, because I came in thinking, okay, I'll know by the time we record, and I don't know. So I'll go to you guys first. You convince me. Put your case forward.
Do you go first, Claude?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. I'll start by talking about I agree. The feud has been very surprising how effective it's been. I think a lot of times if Cope was the Death Rider hunter, I think that hunter gimmick has kind of been done time and time again, but it didn't feel like a retread of anything this time. I mean, he took out
world above Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah, it was not. This was. I mean, the last hunter gimmick we saw was Drew McIntyre, and it was ended summarily. So this kind of came around and filled that void, and did a really good job. Cope is a legend in every sense of the word, and he's still doing incredible work, even at his advanced age and injury history. I think the interesting part about this match is what happens with Wheeler Yuta, because he was not taken out physically, but mentally. Cope, they did the handshake, and Mox came out there, and he was none too pleased, and Yuta, got upset and left. What happens there? He wasn't physically taken out, but is the mental impact going to keep him from being in Mox's corner completely, or does he maybe have a change of heart? And
interesting.
I think it's an interesting pivot, or not. Sorry, I said that word again. Oh no, it's an interesting wrench that they threw into things with the way that they did that. With that being said, I think Cope is going to win here, and I think there might be some shenanigans after the fact. Whether that involves Jay White, whether that involves the patriarchy and Christian, I think Cope wins and leads to something else. I don't think the show ends with Cope holding the title over his head and the fans cheering. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think regardless of who wins the match, I don't think Copeland is walking out with the title, but I'm not sure how that goes down. I'm still not fully persuaded. What do you think, Zach?
I've not been this unsure of the future of anything since I left school. I haven't got a fucking clue how this is going to go. I think the only thing I'm sure on is this is going to be a fustercluck.
Yeah.
of a match. It's going to be ridiculous. Things that shouldn't happen in a wrestling ring are going to happen. We're going to see interferences. We're going to see weapons. We're going to see ref bumps. We're going to see near countouts. Like, it's all going to be
Yeah.
there. The one thing I'm hoping we'll see is Wheeler Yuta, that poor little abused dog, is finally going to snap and beat the shit out of Mox. I think that has to happen.
Man.
So,
The,
which way are you going on it?
the world champion, I think Cope. I'm going to lean towards Cope winning. Now, that's either going to lead. I think that's going to lead to a cash in, whether that's Christian cashing it in, Luchasaurus re-debuting, getting his cash in back, or hell, even as I've seen some people joke about Jay White stealing it and be like, "Hey, this is mine now. I'm cashing in." I I
Yeah,
don't know.
I've seen similar speculation as to the exact verbiage on the contract and whether it has Christian's name on it or if it just says the person who holds this. Yeah, I think uh, that would be a spicy meatball if
Yeah,
they
I
went with
think
that route.
I think they've done a very good job of hyping up, like, you know, where's my pen when, like, Kip Sabian stole it or whatever. That I think they've set it up so that it's not his name on it yet. He still needs to sign it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
which just what an idiot if that's the case. You wouldn't just get it and sign it, write your name on it, something like it's not illegal to print your name
yeah.
where it says signature,
I think I hate referring to WWE present here. Present with their version of this is it's like the match is set once it's handed over, and we've seen Luchasaurus just hand the briefcase over. It's not specific to a person. Like I think it's established it's to the bearer. Now, whether it's honoured if someone who's who's received it unwillingly, well, not willingly, received it by force, I don't know. We've not seen that before, that I'm aware of. But yeah, we've seen it willingly handed over and that accepted. So
it's interesting. I think I think I've been sufficiently persuaded. I think there are more interesting avenues to go down if purely looking at just the match one on one. If Copeland wins it, so I think I'm probably gonna go with you two, and which is crazy because, like I say, going into this, like even a month prior to this, I thought no chance in hell Mox is winning. We're still on the road to Texas, you know, where this story ends and whatever. But I think I've also been more convinced with the Wheeler Yuta stuff as well, that you don't necessarily need to have the belt to finish the Death Rider story.
yeah, I think if they hadn't started the Wheeler Yuta turn now, I would still be like Mox is winning, but
Yeah.
they're not going to have a Yuta title feud. Like,
I agree.
yeah, because my first thought before that was that Mox would retain, and then it would lead to like an Osprey or whoever taking it double or nothing.
I think it also ties into what we were saying earlier about the number one contendership match, where whoever comes out of this is facing either Swerve or Ricochet at, well, presumably Dynasty. So you also have to factor in, like, what direction they could go with that. They've done Christian Cage versus Swerve. I'd like to see that match again because it was very good. It goes slept on that card. I think that you could have a very good, for example, Christian versus Ricochet. That would be interesting. I'm not sure Not sure how the story would go, but I'd be interested to see it. I think you could do Mox versus Swerve very easily. I think that would be an excellent match for them to do. And yeah, I think Cope could work well. Cope has said before that he really wants to work with Swerve. Maybe that's what ends up happening. Maybe he does walk out of there with the title and ends up feuding with Swerve or Ricochet, whoever wins. So it's really interesting. But I want to move on to what we said that we were going to end with, which is we've all prepared our wild take, something that we think might happen in any sort of part of the show that we think it's out there, but it could happen. So I'm intrigued as to what you guys have prepared. We'll go with Crawford first. What have you got?
All right, so my hottest take, approximately 1/1,000,000th of a percent chance of happening, is Kendrick Lamar answering Max Caster's open challenge and running him over with the Buick GNX and starting off the show the right way. That's my scorching hot take. My less hot take that has a chance of happening is Jay White walking out with the AEW World Title. That's my spiciest thing that I think could happen. Probably won't, but has a decent chance.
That is so interesting because my wild take also involves Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. After I changed mine, mine did as well as Kendrick coming out with Ricochet.
I had Kendrick be in first row and like taking out Ricochet for Swerve Strickland to win.
Yeah, I think it was. I was gonna say it's come out with one of them as swinging towards Ricochet, but yeah,
I think that there is definite potential in Jay White walking out with the belt somehow. I think would be brilliant. I think that would be a superb swerve, as it were, because I love Jay White. I'm a massive Jay White guy. Shout out my knife pervert. Like,
now, would you have him do it as a heel or a face? Would you rather have him pin a retaining Mox or do Cope dirty?
Jay White.
it's Jay White. You gotta have him as a heel. He's just too good.
Like that's like asking, do you want your ice cream cold?
Yeah, yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. He has surprised me with how good he can be as a babyface, especially this run with Cope. But he's a phenomenal heel.
Yeah.
His ceiling as a babyface, I think, is something like, I don't know, TNT or Continental Champion or something. Whereas he is a main event world champion heel, ready made for you.
Yeah,
It's
he's
phenomenal.
smarmy. He's so smarmy.
Yeah, he's got 64 abs, just absolutely ripped. Lets you know about it every time he walks to the ring. No, he's a great heel. I agree. I think he would have to be a heel. I think that's when he's at his best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do we
I think-
have any non-Kendrick related predictions? I have one. I did kind of
Go on,
mention
then.
it earlier. I think after Swerve mentioned her in the contract sign, I think Sam does turn up in some form.
Yeah, I could definitely.
I think that would
see
be cool.
Happening. I think it would be cool as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Whether as a manager or just in the crowd or something.
I could definitely see, a sort of spot where, like I say, she's in the crowd and she, like, I don't know, slaps Swerve or something. Like, take my name out your fucking mouth, Will Smith style. I mean, we are in
Yeah.
LA. But yeah, those are all very great K-Dot related predictions there. So yeah, I think that about wraps us up. Like I say, I am so excited for this card. We've differed more than I expected us to, especially with regards to Mariah May. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure talking the graps with you guys. We will have a Revolution review coming out Monday. I mean, we're recording it Monday. It should probably come out. That will be on Monday. Me and Dory. It will be an absolute clusterfuck. I am both dreading it and very excited for it. Shout her out. And it has been a pleasure. Thank you to Crawford for joining us. Please take a bow. Promote anything you've got coming up.
No, I'm just bowing in my chair. Love visual interaction through an audio medium. No, I love being here. It was a great chat. Really looking forward to the show. Shout out Shim behind the board over there.
Damn
doing
it,
the
Crawford,
thing.
stealing it from me. I was going to do that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's what you get. Should have gone first. No, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the show. Hope everyone has a good time. Look forward to everyone getting to listen to this.
Yeah, hopefully people like it. And people
Absolutely.
can understand me and Adam.
Absolutely, and thank you very much to Zach coming from the north to help us out with this, to lend us your fantastic cadence and riveting predictions. That sounded sarcastic. Okay. The first part was sarcastic.
Yeah.
But thank you very much to you both. I have been Adam, aka Blondhog78, and thank you very, very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Wonderful. We're done. That was really good.
Good job, everyone.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Thank you. Sorry for going long